I need to put on the selfie light. Okay, yes. All right. Why do I feel like it's been forever? I mean, I know it's Monday. I haven't seen y'all since last week, but yeah, I just pray today is a really great live. I pray that we're gonna get like straight into it because I have a lot I want to talk about today. Just a quick prayer. I pray that today's live, I pray that only positivity will abound in this life. And I just pray that it will be an enriching and inspirational of us who are here. So, yeah, okay, so today, so much is going on. It's a new month, so I'm really happy. I love Libra, but Scorpios have a special place in my heart. I think the energy of Scorpio is just so intense and like passionate, and it just makes me happy. Mondays we do the Alaere book club. Y'all know. So just lighting some Palo Santo, clearing the energy of the space. Today's topic will be really good. I think it'll be really good. So we are reading You Are a Badass by Jen Sincero. And I'm going to also pull up the live on my laptop here just so I can like keep up with the chat when people do start joining. I'm trying out a new format, so hopefully it works. Like, I don't know. I feel like everything on YouTube so far has been just like an experiment, so to speak. And yeah, I'm just trying to see what works, what doesn't work, or put my book in the chat so y'all can check that out. I'm going to talk a bit about my book as well today. But yeah. So today's live, hold on, let me put the chat. Buy my book here. Okay. Oh wait, hold on. Not there was a hold on. All right. Perfect. So that is pinned. And yeah. So today's topic is You Are a Badass by Jen Sincero, which I think that this is last time I read this book, I've read this book before, but I read this back in like 2019. And so like back in 2019, there was a lot going on in my life. I was in a graduate program at Brown, and I had just gotten out of a really toxic relationship with a narcissist. Yeah, that was not fun. And what else was going on? I know there was grad school, there was that. Oh, yes. And then I had left a corporate job that I was not exactly sure how to navigate. And I think like it definitely, I knew it was affecting my self-concept, but I was wise enough to know that I needed to have a really like solid self-concept and self-confidence and self-belief to be able to do what I knew I had to do at the time. And so that's why I bought this book. And with You Are a Badass, I hope also that the Wi-Fi is not lagging. Hold on, let me check. Okay, yeah. So with You Are a Badass, I wanted to make sure that like I had a book that could guide me in that whole effort to make sure I was staying solid in my self-confidence. So also let me put something else in the video description just so you guys can know. Okay. Yeah. Because I want people to know that we are reading this book today. Like I said, I tried out like a different format with the like titles and everything. But yeah, so that's what we're gonna be reading for November. It's kind of like more self-helpish than the last book we read was, which Your First Million, I think, was more so about just getting us in that mindset of business and like business elevation and entrepreneurship and things like that. And so I think that book was very good for that, but it's very hard to enact those types of things if you don't have the foundation of self confidence and just this idea that like, hey, I'm a badass. I am that girl, you know. And I think because my work and my art and everything is really targeted to a specific type, isn't afraid to be a rainbow in a grayscale world. I definitely think that because I speak to women who lead and women who don't allow the patriarchy to subjugate them and tell them like what they can be, what they can't be, all of that stuff, I think that it's very important that we read this book. Now, I do have some housekeeping things that I want to share before we get too into today. Just like a couple of things that I feel, like moving forward, like what I want us to do with this live, like where I see it going. And because like I realized today is the 28th time I've gone live, I'm like, wow, like this is actually something that I'm doing. Like this is now a thing, and I want to be consistent with it, and I want to bring value, and I want to have valuable conversations. And so beyond the every Monday, I feel like the live painting has been great. It really has. However, I think that because of this energy of November, we're approaching the end of the year. I think it's really important to focus on our mindset, focus on certain elements of like just self-preservation, maintaining your mental sovereignty. I'm launching the first edition of the Alaere Manifesto magazine this month, so I do want what we discuss here to align with those bold ideas of what it means to rebel against society's dogmas and doctrines that try to keep women here and keep men here. And then especially, if you're an African woman, it's even worse. So I definitely will be doing less live painting this month and more discussions like this. Still from my art studio. We can still talk about my art and stuff like that. It's just one also, I feel like painting makes me paint a little bit slower. And there are some pieces I really want to finish so I can do a lookbook and show them to you. But like I said, I hope the Wi-Fi is okay. Still waiting for some people to join into the live, but honestly, it is what it is. Like the people who are meant to join in today will join. But yeah, we'll be on live for like an hour today because I feel like that's another thing. The past lives have been really long, and so yeah, I want this to be as sustainable as it can be. But yeah, that was really pretty much the housewarming stuff before we get into the book. So this is the book we're reading for November. Welcome. We do the Alaere Book Club every Monday at 3 p.m. So I'm just going to read the back of the book. And it says, You Are a Badass is the self-help book for people who desperately want to improve their lives but don't want to get busted doing it. In this refreshingly entertaining how-to guide, best-selling author and world bite-sized chapters full of hilariously inspiring stories, sage advice, easy exercises, and the occasional swear word, helping you to identify and change the self-sabotaging beliefs and behaviors that stop you from getting what you want. Create a life you totally love and create it now, and to make some damn money already, the kind you've never made before. By the end of You Are a Badass, you will understand why you are, how you are, how to love what you cannot change, how to change what you don't love, and how to use the force to kick some serious ass. Okay, so yeah, this is a bit more punchy, less like formal than the Your First Million book that we were reading before. But yeah, I felt like we're living in a time where there is an epidemic of low confidence and low self-esteem with women, with girls, with teens, with like women of all ages. Confidence is really a huge part of leveling up and being able to elevate and go after your goals and your aspirations. Like if you don't have that set foundation of confidence, like yes I can do this, I can do that, then it's going to be very hard to take that action. And this is spiritual as well, but it is really something that like you can pragmatically develop within yourself. So this month, I'm not sure that we're going to read the entire thing on live together. So I do encourage you to check this book out on like Amazon or Kindle or something, just so that we can read it together. But there are 5 parts, so I'm just going to walk you through what the parts are. Hi, Momo, welcome, welcome. So we're reading You Are a Badass by Jen Sincero, and I'm just kind of going over like what the book is about and why this is important. I think that as we close out the year, close to closing out the year, books like this help to remind you that it's not too late. It's not too late in the year to get started on that new idea. It's not too late in the year to apply to that job, apply to that internship. Like, it's not too late. And even if the deadlines have passed or whatever, like, you know what I mean? Like, what I mean is it's not too late to get started moving towards a goal that you have. And then it's also not too late to redefine like how you think about yourself. Like, if you went through this year thinking, oh my gosh, like what can I do? What's my value? All of that. I think that this book will definitely help rewire that thinking. So part 1 is how you got this way. Part 2 is how to embrace your inner badass. Part 3 is how to tap into the mother load. Part 4 is how to get over your BS already. And part 5 is how to kick some ass. Now there are 242 pages in this book. So like I said, I definitely encourage you to check it out on your own. Okay, so we're going to start with the introduction. As per usual, you guys know I'm going to interject with my own thoughts, but let's get started. So the introduction says, you can start out with nothing, and out of nothing and out of no way, a way will be made. And this is a quote from Reverend Michael Bernard Beckwith, former drug enthusiast turned spiritual enthusiast turned inspirational badass. Okay, so she says, Jen Sincero says, I used to think quotes like this were, I also didn't understand what the hell they were talking about. I mean, not that I cared. I was too cool. What little I knew about the self-help spiritual world, I found to be unforgivably cheesy. It reeked of desperation, rah-rah churchiness, and unwanted hugs from unappealing strangers. And don't even get me started on how grouchy I used to be about God. At the same time, there was all this stuff about my life that I desperately wanted to change, and had I been able, I'd published a couple of books, had lots of great friends, a close family, an apartment, a car that ran, food, teeth, clothes, clean drinking water. Compared to the majority of the planet, my life was a total cream puff. But compared to what I knew I was capable of, I was, shall we say, unimpressed. I always felt like, come on, this is the best I can do? Really? I'm going to make dating a bunch of weirdos so I can be in all these wobbly, non-committal relationships and create even more drama? Really? And am I seriously going to question what my deeper purpose is and wallow in the misery of that quagmire for the millionth time? It was a snore. I felt like I was going through the motions of living my lukewarm life with the occasional flare-ups of awesomeness here and there. I feel like we've all been there before. Okay, she goes on to say, and then that deep down, I knew I was a total rock star, that I had the power to give and receive and love with the best of them, that I could leap tall buildings in a single bound and could create anything I put my mind to. And what's that? I just got a parking ticket? You have got to be kidding me. Let me see that. I can't afford to pay this. It's like my 3rd one this month. I'm going down here to talk to them right now. Then doop-de-doop, off I'd go, consumed again by low-level minutiae, only to find myself a few weeks later still stuck in my rickety ass apartment eating dollar tacos by myself every night. Jeez. Okay. So she goes on to say, I'm assuming if you're reading this that there are some areas of your life that aren't looking so good either, and that you know you could be looking a whole lot better. Maybe you're living with your soulmate and are joyfully sharing your gifts with the world, but are so broke that your dog is on his own if he wants to get fed. Maybe you're you have a deep connection to your higher purpose, but you can't remember the last time you wet your pants laughing. Or maybe you suck equally at all of the above and spend your free time crying or drinking or getting pissed off at all the meter maids who have precision timing and no sense of humor, who in your mind are partly responsible for your personal financial crisis. Or maybe you have everything you've ever wanted, but for some reason you still feel unfulfilled. This isn't necessarily about making millions of dollars or helping solve the world's problems or getting your own team, unless that's your thing. Your calling could simply be to take care of your family or to grow the perfect tulip. This is about getting mighty clear about what makes you happy and what makes you feel the most alive, and then creating it instead of pretending that you can't have it, or that you don't deserve it, or that you're a greedy, egomaniacal fathead for wanting more than you already have, or listening to what Dad and Aunt Mary think you should be doing. It's about having the cojones to show up as the brightest, happiest, badassiest version of yourself looks like to you. The good news is that in order to do this, all you need to do is make one simple shift. You need to go from wanting to change your life to deciding to change your life. Wanting can be done sitting on the couch with a bong in your hand and a travel magazine in your lap. Deciding means jumping in all the way, doing whatever it takes, and going after your dreams with the tenacity of a dateless cheerleader a week before prom night. You'll probably have to do things you never imagined you'd do, because if any of your friends saw you doing it or spending money on it, you would never live it down. Or they'd be concerned about you. Or they'd stop being friends with you because now you're all weird and different. You'll have to believe in things that you can't see, as well as some things that you have full-on proof are impossible. And you're going to have to push past your fears, fail over and over again, and make a habit of doing things you're not so comfy doing. You're going to have to let go of old limiting beliefs and cling to create the life you desire, like your life depends on it. Because guess what? Your life does depend on it. As challenging as this may sound, it is nowhere near as brutal as waking up in the middle of the night, feeling like someone parked a car on your chest, crushed under the realization that your life is zooming by and you have yet to start living it in a way that has any real meaning to you. You may have heard the stories about people who had these major breakthroughs when the shit really hit the fan, lump, or got their electricity turned off, or were moments away from having sex with strangers to buy drugs when suddenly they woke up transformed. But you don't have to wait until you hit rock bottom to start crawling out of your hole. All you have to do is make the decision, and you can make it right now. There's a great line from the poet Anais Nin that reads, "And the day came when the risk to remain tight in a bud was more painful than the risk it took to blossom." This is how it was for me, and how I think it is for me. My journey was a process and still is, and that started with my decision to make some serious changes, regardless of what I had to do to make them. None of the things I'd already tried were working, mulling it over and over with my equally broke friends and my therapist, working my ass off, going out for a beer and hoping it would take care of itself. I was at the point where I would try anything to get my act together. And lottie lod lod lod. It's like the universe was testing me to just see how serious I was. So let's pause for a second and really deep everything that we've been reading. So everything she's saying here is so true. I think like we, especially in our 20s, I'm in my 20s, the last year of my 20s, but I'm in my 20s. And I feel like, having read this like earlier in my 20s and then reading this book again right now and just seeing how far I've come and just some of those lessons that I want to share with this community here, I think everything she said is facts. And like what she was talking about in wanting versus deciding, that is an energetic thing. Like if you want to quantum leap into a new reality, you have to go from wanting, wishing, waiting to deciding, proclaiming, and doing. Like you have to jump into the action of that dream self. And I always say that when it comes to like my dream self and like my higher self, I think really long fun, and I show up every day as her. Okay. And so like that's just the biggest thing that I can say is like going from going from waiting and wishing and like wondering how to do things and just like kind of leaping in and saying, hey, you know what, yes I can, I have the qualities and the qualifications to do this, and even with them, I think it's a very different thing. So yeah, just wanted to say that. Okay, so let's go on. We're still reading the introduction, but hold on. I don't know why, like, I think there's like something glitching with today's live, but it is what it is. Like, this is more so for me than anything. I just don't, it seems like certain things are not showing up. Um, it's really odd, really odd, really odd, but it is what it is. So let's keep reading the introduction. So she says, I went to motivational seminars where they made me wear a name tag and high five the person next to me while shouting, "You're awesome, and so am I." I beat a pillow with a baseball bat and shrieked like I was on fire. I bonded with my spirit guide, participated in a group ceremony where I married, wrote a love letter to my uterus. Oh my gosh, wait, I've done that too. The whole like love letter to your yoni. Don't sleep on that. We could talk about that another time. But she says, I've read every self-help book under the sun and spent blood-curdling amounts of money I did not have hiring private coaches. Basically, I took one for the team. If you're new to the self-help world, I'm hoping this book will ease you into some of the basic concepts that changed my life so you can have a breakthrough too, without making you want to run off screaming in the process. If you've already dipped your toe in the self-help pond, I hope it will say something in a new way that turns a light on so you can make some major shifts, create some tangible results, and someday wake up crying tears of giddy disbelief that you get to be you. And if I can save one person from ever having to take their inner child on a play date, I have. My main focus when I started working on myself was how to make money. I had no idea how to make it on a consistent basis, and I was totally weirded out by admitting that I even wanted to in the first place. I was a writer and a musician. I felt it was sufficient and quite noble, thank you very much, to focus on my art and let the money part work itself out. No, that went real well. But I saw so many people doing such sleazy and heartbreaking things to make money, not to mention those people who were working jobs, death of 1,000 wounds boring, that I wanted no part of it. Add to that my slew of other crippling beliefs about the unholy dollar, and it's a wonder I wasn't eating out of a dumpster. I finally realized that I needed not only to focus on making money, but that I also needed to get over my fear and loathing of it if I wanted to start pulling it in. This is some energetic stuff, okay? If you're enjoying the book so far, we're still in the introduction, be sure to like the video and subscribe because every Monday. But let's continue. um, so she said, this is when the self-help books started infiltrating my house and the name tags assumed their mandatory and humiliating post above my left boob. Eventually, I took my credit card debt to unthinkable heights by forking over more money than I paid for all my janky cars put together and hired my first coach. Within the first 6 months, I tripled my income with an online business that I created writers. And now I've grown it to a place where it affords me the means and the luxury to travel the world freely while I write, speak, play music, and coach people in all areas of their lives, using many of the concepts I used to so enjoy rolling my eyes at, and with which I am now obsessed. In an attempt to help you get to where you want to go to, I'm going to ask you to roll with some pretty out there things throughout this book. And I want to encourage you to have an open mind. No, on second thought, I want to yell in your face about it. Stay open. Rude. I mean it. This is really important. You've gotten to where you are right now by doing whatever it is you're doing. So if you're less than impressed with your current situation, you clearly need to change things up. I mean, she's not wrong. If you want to live a life you've never lived, you have to do things you have never done. That is so true. I can't wait to finish the introduction and give my own thoughts on some of this stuff as an artist myself. You know, I totally forgot that the author was also an artist. Okay, so she goes on to say, I don't care how big a loser you may or may not perceive yourself to be right now. The fact that you're literate, have the luxury of time to read this book, and the money to buy it puts you way ahead of the game. This isn't something to feel guilty or whiny or superior about. But it is something to appreciate and should you make the decision to really go for it, know that you are extremely well poised to knock it out of the park and share your awesomeness with the world. Because that's really what this is all about. So, hi, if you're just joining, we're reading from You Are a Badass by Jen Sincero. She says, we need smart people with huge hearts and creative minds to manifest all the wealth, resources, and support they need to make their difference in the world. We need people to feel happy and fulfilled and loved so they don't take their shit out on themselves and other people and the planet and our animal friends. We need to be surrounded by people who self-love and abundance so we don't program future generations with gnarly beliefs like money is bad and I'm not good enough and I can't live the way I want to live. We need kick-ass people to be out of struggle and living large and on purpose so they can be an inspiration to others who want to rise up too. The first thing I'm going to ask you to do is to believe that we live in a world of limitless possibilities. I don't care if you have a lifetime of proof that you can't stop intrinsically evil or that you couldn't keep a man if you were handcuffed to his ankles. Believe that anything is possible anyway. See what happens. What do you have to lose? If you try getting through this book and decide it's a bunch of crap, you can go back to your sucky life. But maybe if you put your disbelief aside, roll up your sleeves, take some risks, and totally go for it, you'll wake up one day and realize you're living the kind of life you used to be jealous of. Okay, and she's so right. Like when I left corporate to become a full-time artist, even when I published my book during the pandemic, it was a lot of things that were also happening in the background. I mean, I told y'all, like when I read this book for the first time in 2019, I got out of a toxic relationship with a narcissistic man who was like older than me. And I was too young to realize, some of these things. And I was in grad school at Brown. I had left a corporate of predatory sexual harassment. I was working 2 jobs. I was working a research job in the daytime at this nonprofit. I was working as a cocktail waitress at a gentleman's club at night. Like, I was in such a place in my life where I was like, I need to make a change because I know where I'm going and this is not it. Like this energy that I'm in right now, I knew at that time, I was like, yeah, no, something's got to change. And she's right. If you want to have a life before, and I don't think that it's really that hard in the sense of like, oh, you have to like go and enroll in this super hard course or learn how to code or something. Like sometimes it can be just as big as deciding like, you know what? I'm going to remove the word I can't from my vocabulary. Like I'm going to stop telling myself things that I can't do and start thinking about all of the things that I can do. Like it can really be as that. And so I just really feel like this book is going to help a lot of people. This book changed my life back in 2019, and I think it will change yours too. So we're on part 1, How You Got This Way. We're reading from You Are a Badass. And also, if you are loving this book so far, I highly recommend you to check out my book, Force of Nature by Odemi Pesu. I've linked the Amazon link in the comments. And be sure to subscribe because we do the Alaere Book Club every Monday at 3 p.m. Eastern time. If you're enjoying this so far, be sure to like the video and also like let me know in the comments, what you're vibing with. So we're at part 1, How You Got This Way. So chapter 1 says, my subconscious made me do it. The first quote says, you are a victim of the rules you live by. And it's by Jenny Holzer, artist, thinker, blurter of brilliance. Many years ago, I was in a terrible bowling accident. My friends and I were at the tail end of a heated tiebreaker and of my final shot, leaping into action, loudly declaring my impending victory, dancing and twirling my way through my approach, that I didn't realize where my feet were when I let go of the ball. This was the moment I was to learn how serious the bowling community is about penalizing those who roll with one toe over the line. They pour oil or wax or lube or something unimaginably slippery all over the alley and should someone accidentally bounds while attempting the perfect hook shot, she will find her feet flying out from under her and her ass crashing down onto a surface that even an airborne bowling ball can't crack. A few weeks later, while strolling about in bed with this guy I met at Macy's, I explained that ever since my accident, I've now woken up in the middle of the night with excruciating pain in my feet. According to my acupuncturist, this is from the nerves in my back getting slammed when I fell. And in order to sleep through the night, I'd need from a mattress. I have pains in my feet when I sleep too, he said, raising himself up for an unreciprocated high five. It's not just because I'm not into the whole high five thing that I left him hanging, but also because I was annoyed with him. I already find mattress shopping to be totally bizarre and embarrassing, lying on your side with a pillow between your thighs for all to see like it's anyone's business. But the fact that I had to do it with my salesman lying next to me, begging for a high fiver, was more than I could handle. I couldn't help when salesmen simply stood at the end of the bed, rattling off mattress facts, while their clients tested out a myriad of positions, but not mine. He lowered down next to me on his back, arms crossed across his chest, and thoughtfully chat away, staring at the ceiling like we were at summer camp. I mean, he was nice enough and incredibly knowledgeable about coils and latex and memory foam, but I was scared to roll over for fear he'd start spooning me. Was I too friendly? Did he think I meant something else when I patted the empty space next to me to test the pillow top? I obviously should have asked Freak Show Bob to get off the damn bed or found someone else to help me, instead of sneaking out the door and blowing my only opportunity that week to go mattress shopping. But I didn't want to embarrass him. I didn't want to embarrass him. This is pretty much how my family was trained to deal with any sort of potentially uncomfortable interaction. Along with the fail running in the opposite direction, other tools in our confrontation toolbox also included freeze, talk about the weather, go blank, and burst into tears the moment you're out of earshot. Our lack of confrontation management skills was no great surprise, considering the fact that my mother comes from a long lineage of wasps. Her parents were the types who believed that children were to be seen and not heard, and who looked upon any sort of emotional display with the same horrified disdain usually reserved for cheap Scotch Ivy League educations. And even though my mother went on to create a household for us that was as warm, loving, and laughter-filled as they come, it took years for me to finally learn how to form a sentence when presented with the blood-chilling phrase, "We need to talk." All this is to say that it is not your fault that you're effed up. It's your fault if you stay effed up. But the foundation of your upness is something that's been passed down through generations of your family, like a coat of arms or a killer corn feet, or in my case, equating confrontation with heart failure. When you came screaming onto this planet, you were truly a bundle of joy, a wide-eyed creature incapable of doing anything but being in the moment. You had no idea that you had a body, let alone that you should be ashamed of it. When you looked around, everything just was. Also, I have to pause because she just mentioned shame. So there is this researcher, author, overall cool person called Brene Brown, and she talks a lot about shame. It's special on releasing shame or something like that. But if you want to look more into that, check out Brene Brown. She's great. Hi Maha333. Welcome. Okay, so Maha says, where are you from? I am from Atlanta. That's where I am right now. But I'm Nigerian American. So I was born here and my family is Nigerian. Where are you from? Yes. So we just got started. We're only on page 20, and this is part of the Alaere Book Club. And we do this every Monday. And I mentioned this earlier in the live because I've mostly been doing live painting on my lives, but being that we are at episode 28 of this, and I'm like, oh, so this is a thing, like a thing that I'm going to keep doing because I want to get to 100 and see like what happens. And I want to keep growing this community. So November is going to be really a lot of like thought leaders launching this month, and you know, just different things, and like really talking about subject matter that I think can help women globally, but especially across the African diaspora. Okay, Maha says, I'm from India. Hi, welcome. Welcome. What time is it in India? What time is it over there? Be sure to subscribe. I hope you subscribe. Stick around. So we're still reading You Are a Badass by Jen Sincero. Very different vibe from Your First Million, which I wanted to like liven things up a bit because I felt like we had really great conversations about economics and like upward social mobility, but this is about the energetics of self-confidence and like how to stop dimming your light, how to stop questioning yourself, how to stop like shying away from challenges just because you think that you can't do something. When I was in elementary school, my teacher and said us write down everything we thought we couldn't do, and she made us bury them. Like we all dug a hole together in the playground and we buried our I can'ts. And so I say that to say that like the word I can't, let's work on removing that from the vocabulary for the rest of the year and then go into 2026 with an elevated sense of who we can become and what we can accomplish. Okay, so let's get back to the book. I just had to interject there. Okay, let's see. Maha says you look exactly like a Barbie doll. Oh, thank you. That's so sweet. That is so funny. People kind of like always say that. I will take it. I love Barbies. Like, and I'm a Barb, so. Okay. Let's see. So she says you had no idea you had a body, let alone that you should be ashamed of it. When you looked around, everything just was. That was scary or too expensive or so last year as far as you were concerned. If something came near your mouth, you stuck it in. If it came near your hand, you grabbed it. You were simply a human being. While you explored and expanded into your new world, you also received messages from the people around you about the way things are. Ah, yes, subconscious conditioning. Yikes. So she says that from the moment you could take it in, they started filling you up lifetimes worth of beliefs, many of which have nothing to do with who you actually are or what is necessarily true. Like the world is a dangerous place, you're too fat, homosexuality is a curse, size matters, hair shouldn't grow there, going to college is important, being a musician or an artist isn't a real career, etc. The main source of this information was, of course, your parents, assisted by society at large. So if you're just joining, we're at the chapter, My Subconscious Made Me Do It. And we're going to talk about reprogramming, but let me not get ahead of myself. Okay, so she goes on to say the main source of this information was, of course, your parents, assisted by society at large. When they were raising you, your parents, in a genuine effort to protect you and educate you and love you with all their hearts, hopefully, passed on the beliefs that they learned from their parents, who learned them from their parents, who learned them from their parents. The trouble is, many of these beliefs have nothing to do with who they actually are or were, or what is actually true. I sound like we're all crazy, but that's because we kind of are. Most people are living in an illusion based on someone else's beliefs. I'm going to say that one more time. Most people, yes, most people, including us, are living in an illusion based on someone else's beliefs. And until they wake up, which is what this book will hopefully help you do. Here's how it works. We as humans have a conscious mind and a subconscious mind. Most of us are only aware, however, because that's where we process all of our information. It's where we figure things out, judge, obsess, analyze, criticize, worry that our ears are too big, decide once and for all to stop eating fried food, grasp that 2 + 2 = 4, where we try to remember where the hell we left the car keys, and etc., etc. Okay, let me check into the chat. Maha333 says, actually, I'm not very fluent in English, but I can speak a little. You sound pretty good to me. Thank you for sticking around in the chat. It's good to have you here. I hope you subscribed. Yes, I hope you subscribed. And okay, so let's continue. Let's continue because I think like this is a very important topic. Subconscious minds, like subconscious programming, subconscious like conditioning, and how to hack that. It's definitely an energetic part of confidence. I think like the way I look at it, now I'm closing the book. We're gonna keep reading, but of course, like I have to add my thoughts. That's the point. I think when I look at it, our subconscious thoughts and like being able to take the time to rework them is going to make a bigger difference than the concrete actions that you may take towards a goal. So it's like if you're applying to, let's say you're applying to a college and your subconscious belief is that this college is out of reach for you, that is literally going to seep into everything that you do. And if you apply stuff with the subconscious belief that yes, I can, like I am capable, I am godly, like I'm God consciousness, you know, all of this stuff. If you go into things with that subconscious belief that yes, I can, a lot of times that also seeps into the results that you get. Hey Ax, welcome. Ax says, damn you beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. So today we're reading from You Are a Badass, and we're just like talking about some of the topics in the book. But I hope you subscribe. I do the book club every Monday at 3 p.m. And then like every other day, I'm in my studio. We do different things here. Different things, but they're all fun. They're all fun. And like just a little bit context for those of y'all just joining. I'm an artist and fashion designer and author. I've actually pinned where you can check out my book, Force of Nature, in the comments. And on Mondays, I like to read from inspirational and empowering books because like I said, there is an epidemic of low self-esteem, an epidemic of insecurity, and when people are insecure and make that everybody else's responsibility to dim their lights just because that person does not have a sense of self, it makes the world just not fun. So I feel like I'm doing my part to make sure we're all moving through this world with confidence and like a self-belief because we were created in the image of God. Maha says, are you a teacher, by the way? No, not exactly. I do give lectures at universities and companies every now and then, based off of the themes in my book, Force of Nature. So that's probably why I do kind of give like teacher vibes. I wouldn't mind being like an adjunct professor or something, but so far I do enjoy giving talks at colleges and I want to do more of that. I noticed like when I would do my live painting and stuff like that, people would ask me like, oh, do you talk about this, or I like the subject matter that you discuss. And I think that for me, like when I think about my brand and my company, I also want the legacy of this brand to be that it was able to elevate people's minds and that it was able to raise their vibration internally. So just to answer your question in a long-winded way, no, I'm not a teacher, but I do prefer things on the side. Yeah. Okay. But I'm flattered. I am flattered by that question. I'm not gonna lie. Okay, so she goes on to say, the conscious mind is like a relentless overachiever, incessantly spinning around from thought to thought, stopping only when we sleep, and then starting up again the second we open our eyes. Also, this text is so tiny. That's why I'm like, what is she saying? So like, I'm like, what does that say? Okay, because I have this like bright light in my face as well, so I'm just like, oh my gosh. Okay. But anyways, stopping only when we sleep and then starting up again the second we open our eyes. Our conscious mind, otherwise known as our frontal lobe, doesn't fully develop until sometime around puberty. Our subconscious mind, on the other hand, is the non-analytical part of our brain that's fully developed the moment we arrive here on Earth. It's all about feelings and instincts and erupting into ear-piercing temper tantrums in the middle of supermarkets. It's also where we store all the early outside information we get. The subconscious mind believes everything because it has no filter. It doesn't know the difference between what's true and what is not true. If our parents tell us that nobody in our family knows how to make money, we believe them. If they show us that marriage means punching each other in the face, we believe them. We believe them when they tell us that some fat guy in a red suit is going to climb down the chimney and bring us presents. Why wouldn't we believe any of the other garbage they feed us? Now she's against Santa Claus, Jen. Okay, so she goes on to say, our subconscious mind is like a little kid who doesn't know any better, and not coincidentally receives most of its information when we are little kids and don't know any better. because our frontal lobes, the conscious parts of our brains, have not fully formed yet. We take in information via smiles, frowns, heavy sighs, raised eyebrows, tears, laughters, etc. of the people surrounding us with zero ability to filter any of it, and it all gets lodged in our squishy little subconscious minds as the truth, otherwise known as our beliefs, where it lives undisturbed and unanalyzed until we're on the therapy couch decades later or checking ourselves into rehab again. Okay, so I'm gonna pause real quick. Maha says, by the way, what time is it on your side? Morning, evening, night on my side. Oh, wow. It is actually 3:49 right now, which I know I said I wanted to keep these to an hour. I think we'll go like a little bit over an hour, maybe. Like a little bit over an hour, because I have things to do. And like the things to do have to do with serving this community. And I think like for me, it's just nice to come on live, during the day and have it be like a quick, I don't think I just don't see it happening. But so far so good. We're gonna keep reading this chapter and then we will discuss what we've read. But so far we're talking about the subconscious mind, talking about the difference between our conscious minds and our subconscious minds and the ways in which our subconscious mind stores beliefs. And I think this is why it's been important for me to create the artwork that I create. It is all with like my artwork. I have it all here, but like even in the background, you can see some of it. My artwork is all infused with these subliminal messages that are created to remind African women and women across the African diaspora in America, Latin America, the Caribbean, anywhere that we were created in the image of God. These subliminal messages in my artwork are there to rewire those subconscious beliefs that have been put upon us: colonialism, imperialism, the legacies of the transatlantic slave trade, wherever your legacy comes from or wherever your lineage comes from in the global Black polity, because that's my identity. So that's for the most part like who I create for at the core of what I do. And like obviously anybody can benefit from it. This isn't to say that non-Black people have not bought my artwork and my book, but disclaimer. But I do all of this. We have a lot of messaging that tries to tell us as women, as African women, as Black women, what we cannot do, that, oh, you can't do this because you're this and that. I was not raised with those types of limitations placed on me, thank God. But when I went into the real world and I saw, oh, wow, people are unnerved because I'm a Black woman, I'm darker skinned, and like I have confidence and I believe in myself and I strut with, a self to have a beautiful life. Like I would see how it would kind of trip people up because I'm walking around like I'm badass. Like I am me. And, people would be like, oh, well, why do you think that? You're supposed to think XYZ about yourself because of these identities that you hold. And so I think it's been very important for me to reject those ideologies and those limiting beliefs placed upon us by society and the patriarchy and the legacies of colonialism, and embody the sense of sovereignty, especially like through my own sovereign expressions of divine feminine energy. And I put all of that into my artwork. So everything we're talking about here on the subconscious mind, just soaking stuff up, the subconscious mind soaks up what you listen to in your music, what you see around you, what you even when you're scrolling on TikTok and you think, oh, like I'm not taking in all this stuff, I'm scrolling by. No, you're taking it. Your subconscious mind is taking it all in and it's storing it there. And so I really do encourage a type of like energetic hygiene where you just take some time every now and then to pause and think about like, what do I believe? How am I moving through the world? And like what beliefs are being reflected in my actions, and how is that aligned with like my higher self or that which I want to become. Okay, so like let's go back to the book, but I just wanted to say that because I'm a really spiritual person, and a lot of African spirituality I pour into my book, which I've linked in the comments, The Force of Nature, but also into my artwork, into my fashion line, everything. And I think that harnessing the power of your subconscious mind is the best way to manifest your dream life. Literally, if you try everything and it's not working, literally go in deep and do that inner work on from childhood or from your past, and how can you release them and replace them with better, high vibrational, more elevated thoughts. Okay. um so Maha in the chat says, by the way, I feel good knowing that we were able to talk despite such a huge distance between us. I know, right? Like, I love that too. I love that about YouTube. I love that about, like, that's the thing I like about social media. That I've been able, global community, and like there's people in India, on this channel, like there's people in Afghanistan, Iraq, South Africa, like different parts of the US. And so it always makes me like really happy to think that we are growing slowly but surely. Slowly but surely, we're growing a community here of light workers and people with, you know, higher vibrations and elevated minds, and who are conscious of universal consciousness that connects us all. And so, yeah, I'm happy to have you here, Maha. Okay, so I'm going to continue reading because I want us to finish this chapter, and then we'll close out for today. Like I said, you know, I'm gone are the 3-hour live days. I'm so sorry, y'all. It's just not sustainable for me, and like I have so much painting that I need to do, and it's just like, yeah, I need to like finish all this stuff. But that it all gets lodged in our squishy little subconscious minds as the truth, otherwise known as our beliefs, where it lives, undisturbed and analyzed until we're on the therapy couch decades later or checking ourselves into rehab again. I can pretty much guarantee that every time you tearfully ask yourself the question, what the F is my problem? The answer lies in some lame, limiting, and false subconscious belief that you've been dragging or realizing it. Which means that understanding this is majorly important. So let's review, shall we? Jay says, farts? Dude, like, stop being gross. Like, if you're gonna be here, be a positive contributor to the chat. But if not, take your farts and go. Okay. Anyways, we're gonna continue. Maha says, my phone is running out of charge, so I will talk to you again after 30 to 35 minutes. It's okay. If I'm still here, we'll see. But thank you for tuning in, and I hope you subscribe. Okay, so the answer lies in some lame, limiting, and false subconscious belief that you've been dragging around without even realizing it. Which means that understanding this is majorly important. So let's review, shall we? 1. Our subconscious mind contains the blueprint for our lives. It is running the show based on the unfiltered information it gathered when we were kids, otherwise known as our completely oblivious to these subconscious beliefs that run our lives. 3. When our conscious minds finally develop and show up for work, no matter how big and smart and highfalutin they grow to be, they're still being controlled by the beliefs we're carrying around in our subconscious minds. So our conscious mind thinks it's in control, but it isn't. Our subconscious mind doesn't think about anything, but is in control. So let's check into the chat. Gonzalez says, hola corazon, hi. Hola. And Jay says, I don't know what Jay is saying. Jay, if I have to block you, I'll block you. I'm not one of those people on the internet who is like, oh, I have to be nice to everybody. No, if you come in here with nonsense, you're going to get blocked. Talking about farting and stuff, that's nasty. But anyway, Sha, let's continue. So this is why so many of us stumble through life doing everything we know in our conscious minds to do, remain mystified by what is keeping us from creating the excellent lives that we want. For example, let's say you were raised by a father who was constantly struggling financially, who walked around kicking the furniture and grumbling about how money doesn't grow on trees, and who neglected you because he was always off trying and for the most part failing to make a living. Your subconscious took this in at face value and might have developed beliefs such as 1. Money equals struggle. 2. Money is unavailable. 3. It is money's fault that I was abandoned by my father. Or 4. Money sucks and causes pain. Cut to you as an adult who, in your conscious mind, would love nothing more than to be raking in the dough, but who is subconsciously mistrusting of money, believes it's unavailable to you, and who worries that if you make it, you'll be abandoned by someone you love. Jeez. If this is if this is speaking to you, let me know in the comments, because I'm like really there. Like, she's going there to the nitty gritty of it. You may then manifest these subconscious beliefs by staying broke, no matter how hard you consciously try to make money, or by repeatedly making tons of money and then losing it in order to avoid being abandoned, or in a plethora of other frustrating ways. No matter what you say you want, if you have an underlying subconscious belief that it is going to cause you pain or isn't available to you, you either A, won't let yourself be, you will let yourself have it, but you'll be real fucked up about it. And then you'll go off and lose it anyway. She's not wrong. She's not wrong. Like, remember what I said earlier? Like, if you do go after a goal and your subconscious inner belief is, oh, I'm not worthy of this, like, why would they choose me? And then you're wondering why your actions are not materializing, it can have to do with that subconscious belief. And like, everything in life is not this logical thing. Like, a lot of times in life, a lot of things are energetic and a lot of things are spiritual, and a lot of things have to do with stuff that we may not necessarily like see happening right in front of us. And I think that subconscious mind and like that subconscious mental impact that we see in our lives is something that we can't like reach out and touch it, but you can pause and feel it. And for me, how I've been able to rewire my subconscious mind, especially when I've had to like quantum leap at different times in my life. Like, I'm in the middle of a quantum leap right now. Like, I can't lie. Like, and it feels good, but it felt really weird before, because I was like, okay, I'm shifting into a version of myself that I used to tell myself was unattainable. And like, what that is like, oh, like now my life is modeling and shoots and stuff like that. And I remember there was a time where I told myself, oh, something worth giving my time to, because I need to be more serious and work in corporate. And it's funny because all of the elements of my personality, like my beauty, my charisma, like my vibe, okay, that has been attracting me opportunities in modeling and in fashion and in art. They were hurting me in corporate, but I kept harboring the subconscious belief growing up, you know, in an immigrant household that, okay, through working at a stable corporation, you know, doing that, like, you know what we were taught, especially the millennials, you know, the older Gen Z, you know what we were conditioned to believe. And then it's like you wake up and you see, oh my gosh, wait, everything that I've been conditioned to believe is a lie. And it takes time and like grace and self-forgiveness to say, like, you know what, I forgive myself for moving through life. I couldn't do certain things because of external beliefs and external influences that were placed on me. And you have to make that conscious decision to release the shame that also comes from harboring subconscious beliefs that maybe you had no say in that. Like, we don't have a say in the families we're born into. We don't have a say in the toxic behaviors that we may have seen from our parents or from the people who raised us. We don't have a say in the lack mindset that we may have grown up seeing. We don't wire our subconscious beliefs and how we can pause and, you know, reaffirm the beliefs that we want to be prominent in our lives and reaffirm that which we want to manifest in our lives. And so it's like, there's so much I could say about this because I am really passionate about like subconscious reprogramming and like being able to step into that divine identity as a conscious creator. Because if you're alive, you're living, breathing, like you are here. Like, as long as you're alive, there's something amazing that you can do, and at any scale and at any given time. But it really does require you to do some of that like shadow work and look at the parts of yourself and your psyche that are like, dang, like, I don't know, like, that's just not something I want to keep doing, but how do I stop it? And I mean, therapy helps for sure, not BetterHelp, because they were sharing consumer data. I don't know why influencers and stuff like keep advertising them, but anyways, that's an aside. But therapy definitely helps. Affirmations help a lot. I've recently gotten into subliminals, which the jury is out on whether or not they have been working, but I want to say they have been. Like, I play like subliminals that just like, to play in the background, and I think that's also been helping with my subconscious reprogramming. I do have a video where I have some subconscious reprogramming beliefs like repeated over music. So let me see if I can actually pin that in the chat right now. But yeah, it's definitely like effort to do so, but subconscious beliefs can be anything. They can be anything, and it can materialize in low self-esteem and low self-confidence. And here at Alaere Lifestyle, I want y'all to have a high vibration. Like, the whole point of me being an artist, a fashion designer, and author is so I can raise the vibration of the world and build a community of people who can also walk out into the world knowing that they have the glory within, like knowing they have a light within. And this has nothing to do with any doctrine, religion. This is just about you knowing, like, hey, listen, as this sovereign entity that I am capable. My subconscious beliefs don't have permanent. Like, life is always moving, and I think a lot of people get stuck in a fixed mindset. And I think like once you're able to even just decide, hey, I want better. I deserve to be better. I deserve to have more. Like, once you decide, instead of like waiting for something outside in like the external circumstances to come and tell you that you deserve that, it makes a huge difference. It really makes a huge difference. And like, it will do wonders for your confidence. So let's continue reading. Where do we? Oh, yes. Okay. We don't realize that by eating that fourth donut, or by ignoring our intuition, or marrying that guy who's an awful lot like our low down cheating daddy, that we're being driven by our subconscious minds, not our conscious minds. Yeah, that's how generational curses continue. Like, generational trauma is really passed down through subconscious beliefs that are not true. Literally, I was watching a video earlier today about self-sacrifice has been embedded in the Black woman's psyche and passed down. And when you look at the history of the United States and the treatment and the usage of Black women's bodies in the United States during the time of like enslavement and that history, you can see why, moving forward now, like, there's women who still believe that they have to sacrifice themselves or dim their light and martyr themselves in order to be worthy of love. And that's just not the case. Like, you're worthy of love and like worthy of greatness and magic in your life simply because you are, like, literally just because you exist. And so I think like it goes deeper, and I do encourage like also looking at your family history and like the history of your ancestors, and just understanding like what may have been passed down, the good things, the blessings, the legacy, and the ugly, why is everybody getting divorced? Why is everybody splitting up? Or why is everyone doing XYZ? Like, just taking some time to look at that and seeing what patterns you may be inadvertently upholding in your life. I think like it makes a huge difference to do that. Okay, so let's continue. I know, like, I love this book. I'm telling you, I have not read this book since 2019, but just something in my spirit was just telling me, this life, this one that I'm looking at the world, and I'm just like, oh my, happening. I feel like, I'm telling y'all, this epidemic of low self-esteem, this epidemic of young women being inundated with nonsense from TikTok, YouTube. Well, maybe not as much YouTube. I don't know. I only see like really cool stuff on YouTube, but TikTok is a cesspool of misinformation, like that conditions women to not believe in themselves, and that conditions women to like compare themselves. I mean, like, everything I hear from that app is just somehow scam as well. Like, we know this. We know that the media is very panoptic, and a lot of the subconscious beliefs that we may be taking in can also be coming from the social media that we're engaging with. So just just a reason why I feel like it is my prerogative and my duty, my calling, through my art and everything that I do, to show up on social media with light and with love. And for me, like, I think or inspire. Now, I don't know how entertaining I am, but I can educate. Your girl is smart. Your girl got the degree. I can educate somebody. I can inspire somebody. I feel like I've been able to overcome and alchemize so much in my life that, like, I want to be able to share those lessons with people, and I'm continuing to do that. But entertaining, I don't know. Like, I'm not Kai Cenat. I'm not Kun Blackwell. Like, this is a different vibe, but like that, like, reading books like this, You Are a Badass. What we read in October was Your First Million by Arlen Hamilton. So definitely go check out some of the past live replays if you missed those. They all say Alaere Book Club in the title. And like, we had some really great conversations. So let me continue. I just got like really excited because this book and the subject matter in it, like, I think is really pertinent to what we're seeing in the world right now. And we need more people, women, to know that they are badasses and not go through life feeling sucky based off of stuff that they like never consciously decided to believe those things. Okay, and so let's go on. And when our subconscious beliefs are out of alignment with the things and experiences we want in our conscious minds and hearts, it creates confusing conflicts between what we are trying to create and what we are actually creating. It's like we're driving with one foot on the gas, subconscious beliefs as well, but we're not talking about those right now. Here are some other scenarios that may or may not ring a bell. Conscious mind says, I long to find and marry my soulmate. Subconscious mind says, intimacy leads to pain and suffering. Finger says, ringless. Why is she reading? Why is she reading like most women right now? And honestly, I've been having to do that, like, thinking too, like, what about love and intimacy and like my place in love and relationships? Like, let me make sure I'm doing my inner work to make sure that I'm not like what she said, putting one foot on the gas, one foot on the pedal, or one foot on the brake pedal. Okay, so another example she says is conscious mind says, I want to lose 25 pounds. Subconscious mind says, people aren't safe. I must build a shield to protect myself. Body says, a fortress of flab. Sex life says, yawn. Yeah. Don't even get me started on the subconscious beliefs regarding sensuality, sexuality, virtue, and purity. Eye roll. Don't even get me started. Don't even get me started. But anyway, let's continue. Okay, so she also says, conscious mind says, I want to travel the world. Subconscious mind says, fun equals irresponsible equals I won't be loved. Passport equals blank. So these are all examples of the ways in which our conscious mind can literally say, hey, yes, I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to do this. And our subconscious mind is like, I don't think so. And then boom, like, we just see that materialize. Okay, Moises says, thumbs up emoji, and go on, girl. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, I deadass thought I was only gonna stay on for an hour today, but I mean, we'll do like an hour and a half, I think. I'm just having fun because I really genuinely love this book, and it's been so long, and I'm like, yeah, this is just what I need. This is chef's kiss, just what I need. Mrs. says, you're welcome. Yeah, I appreciate it. You're always like the best comments. Like, I just want to like, you literally always the sweetest comments, and they make me so happy. So I appreciate them, and I hope they will tell people to check out my channel. I'm building slowly but surely. Like, I feel like for me right now, yeah, like, I look at the numbers and stuff, but I mostly am looking at like the quality. Like, I want to make sure that I'm reaching people directly, and yeah, like, we're vibing on some real stuff, not some, hey, look at me, look at me, look up, and this and this. Like, I don't really care about all that stuff. Like, I just really care about making the world a better place with my own contributions, and if I can do that with my art, with my book, with my fashion, with, you know, these little mini lectures, I guess, so to speak, then I feel good. I feel good about what I'm doing. So I appreciate you, Moises. Yes, it is very interesting. Like the subconscious mind is like, oof, it's a lot. Okay, so it's sort of like not being able to enjoy sitting on your front porch anymore because it totally reeks of something foul out there. You can come up with all these brilliant ways to deal with the problem, light incense, set up fans, blame it on the dog, but until you realize that something has crawled under your house and died, your problems will linger on, stinking up your life. The first key to ridding yourself of limiting subconscious beliefs is to become aware of them. Yeah, that's true. That's shadow work. Okay, like when people say shadow work, that's pretty much what they're saying. Because until you're aware of what's really going on, you'll keep working with your conscious mind, think you need to paint the porch, for example, to solve a problem that's buried far beneath it. So basically, dead skunk removal in your subconscious, which is an exercise in futility. Take a minute to look at some of the less than impressive areas of your life and think about the underlying beliefs that could have created them. Uh, yeah. I do this like all the time, and some have been shed. Literally yesterday, I was like thinking, and I had to like release, and then I was like, oh, that felt really good. Like I looked at the belief, and I was like, okay, yeah, this doesn't feel good, and it can't stay with me in the next level of my life. I cried, released it, and now I'm like, I'm in a new belief. I'm in a new subconscious belief. So anyway, Sha, let's continue. um, let's take the old crowd pleaser, lack of money, for example. Are you making money than you know you're capable of earning? Have you reached a certain income level that no matter what you do, you can't seem to go above? Does generating an abundance of money consistently seem like something you're not even physically capable of? If so, write down the first 5 things that come to your mind when you think about money. Is your list full of hope and bravado or fear and loathing? What are your parents' beliefs about money? What are the beliefs of the other people you grew up around? What was their relationship with money like? Later on in this book, I'm going to give you tools to go much deeper with your subconscious beliefs and fix whatever is blocking you from living the kind of life you would love to live. But for now, practice stepping aside, notice what's happening in the dysfunctional areas of your life, and strengthen your almighty awareness muscle. Start waking up to the stories you're working with in your subconscious. Like, I'll have to do things I hate in order to make money. Oh my gosh, I used to think that. Me being in corporate, I genuinely used to think I had to work in corporate to be taken seriously. And you know what? Let me finish this and then we'll go into my own experience and share some of that with y'all. But anyways, she says, start waking up to the stories you're working with in your subconscious. Like, I'll have to do things I hate in order to make money. I'll feel trapped if I get into an intimate relationship. If I go on a diet, I'll never get to eat anything fun again. If I enjoy sex, I'll burn in hell with the rest of the day, etc., etc., etc. Because once you see what's really going on, you can start to drag out the stinky carcasses of your limiting subconscious beliefs, give them the heave ho, thereby opening up the space to invite the fresh, new, awesome beliefs and experiences that you would love to have into your life. So that was chapter 1. She's a very colorful writer. I will say that. She's very like expressive and very casual in how she relays hers. And so I do enjoy that about this book. I don't know if I want to read chapter 2 if we have enough time. But let's check into the chat. Moises Gonzalez says, I'm working and enjoying listening to you. Thank you. What do you do for work? Like, I'm curious if you don't mind sharing. But yeah, like everything she said is so true. I think like for me, a subconscious belief that I used to have for a long time was it's hard. Even though I've been doing this for like 3 years full time, I can say that maybe it wasn't really up until like this year that I really sat down and looked at like why, like what are my beliefs about the money part? Because I used to think, oh, like another subconscious belief was like, I need to work with galleries in order to make it as an artist, or I need to do certain things. And like sometimes these subconscious beliefs can come from everything we've been exposed to. And I mean, as well, like fear can manifest into these bigger things, and it's just like, you know what, even though I'm consciously taking the action to move forward, that fear can turn into beliefs that hinder the growth and the progress that I'm trying to make. And so I really had to sit down and say, okay, I have to reject the beliefs about money that I see in my parents. I have to reject, because a lot of immigrant parents do have limited money because they had to work really, really hard to come over here to the US, and maybe they like went through like really tough times financially in their home country. And so a lot of that like grit, and which is good. I think grit and perseverance and resilience are amazing character traits to have. However, the side of that that seeps into our subconscious mind and can turn into a limiting belief, especially if you're like me and come from like a, you know, you're a first gen, you come from an immigrant, is that you have to work hard or you have to do things you don't like to make money. When I look around, there's people who are modeling making money, there's people who are chefs and opening restaurants making money, doing what they love that way, there's people who are designing dresses making money. Like, I think another way I've been able to reprogram my subconscious mind as an artist, a fashion designer, an author, like doing literally everything I do is basically what your typical Nigerian immigrant parent would be like, you know what to do? What? I'm basically doing everything that they would say is like not worth doing. And I think like for me, I try to find evidence that what I know I want to do is possible for me. So let's say, for example, I want to, for example, I was manifesting or like working towards more partnerships, like brand partnerships, but I wanted partnerships with brands that align with my values. A limiting belief was like, oh, I don't have the, and you need this and you need that. So I'm just thinking about all the things that I didn't have, so to speak. And then I turned my belief to, well, I have done gallery shows, I have given book talks, I've done XYZ, I have done this. And I did an art show with TikTok this summer. Even yesterday, so yesterday I modeled for a shoot. I had a modeling gig yesterday. And it's funny because like even with modeling, like I used to think, oh, like I don't know, I have these like, oh, I'm not supposed to do that. Like, if I do modeling, people won't take me seriously. Or if I use my beauty as work, that would make me vapid and vain and this and this. And I thought, how is that true? Like, when there's women I look up to, and because of their beauty, I knew who they were. But then I listened to them talk, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a smart, inspirational woman. Like, Amal Clooney or Angelina Jolie or Kerry Washington. These are all wonderful. Angelina Jolie is a model and actress, but she's also an activist for the UN. And now she just left the UN to work with another worldwide organization focused on human rights. But I used to have a limiting belief that if I leaned into, you know, modeling and pageants and my looks and things like that, it would mean that I couldn't make a difference in the world. Like, it would mean that I couldn't be taken seriously, like if I ever wanted to do, I don't know, like politics or like but now I've learned that it is actually through my beauty, which is also a gift from God. So women who are listening to this, or if you're watching the live replay after I post this, your beauty, your charisma, your soft power, your character, like your energy, your essence, that is a gift. And don't let people and external beliefs and subconscious beliefs keep you thinking like, oh, it's a sin or it's like bad to leverage that. Moises says, love it. Yeah, like you see, you're seeing the vibes. Like, I think that women, we are inundated with so many, oh my god, so many belief systems and regurgitations of what the patriarchy says is packaged in different ways all the time, but it's still like very much so patriarchal nonsense that tells us that we can only be one thing. And I think like for me, like getting over that hump of that limiting belief, now I'm able to do for a museum yesterday. Like, and I was just like, wow, that's so cool. And like if I had not I think like rewired my brain to be receptive, and like rewired my mind and like my spirit energetically to be receptive to some of those opportunities, I don't think it would have even happened. Like literally, like how the modeling gig came about was I was walking, going somewhere, and the photographer in charge of the shoot, unbeknownst to me, a model had, and so he saw me and we were at the same location, and he was like, yeah, like I was having a conversation with someone and I had to figure out who you were and ask you, like, you know, do you model? And I was like, yeah, like I do, like I used to do pageants and stuff like that. And so I say all that to say that limiting beliefs are not something to be afraid of. Limiting beliefs are definitely not fixed, okay? At any given point, as long as you um have faith and as long as you have breath like going through your lungs, you can always do something. You can always start something. You can always move forward. But I do think that taking the time to look at like what you've been carrying within you and what has been maybe holding you back that you couldn't like really see unless you sit and feel it, I think that is going to make the difference. So Moises says, amen. Yeah, I gotta preach. Asked if I'm a millennial. So I'm a cusper, meaning I was born in 96. And so technically I'm oldest Gen Z, youngest millennial. Like there are some elements of the millennial experience that I resonate with, like not being on social media for the majority of my life. Like I didn't have an Instagram until 16, 17. So, you know, I relate to millennials. The rebellious attitude of Gen Z, totally have that. Yeah, so I think that we've talked about a lot of good stuff today. I like that today was kind of like, you know, quick. Very punchy, like very like, you know, yeah, like I feel like we had one thing that we talked about, and I like that. Like I like that we talked about that. But yeah, like your subconscious beliefs really make a difference. And before I go, I just want to talk a little bit about my book, Force of Nature, which I have pinned in the chat. So if you do want to reprogram your subconscious beliefs, you are a badass. We will still be reading this book by Jen Sincero. So we'll be reconvening every Monday for the Alaere Book Club this November. This is our book of choice, so definitely take a screenshot, check it out, because this book is really that I also really love is my book that I wrote, Force of Nature by Odemi Passu. C'est moi. C'est moi. So yeah, like I think if you are someone who wants to kind of like rewire your internal interpretation of your own divinity, this is the book for you. If you want to decolonize your mind, body, spirit, and really step into that God conscious we're called to live in. And I don't even mean in like a Christian way per se. I mean in a like creator way. Like you are able to create the life of your dreams. Point blank, period. Okay. And sometimes it's not always about force. Like I feel like we all have that divine feminine energy in us, and I talk a lot about that in my book. But like it's like hustle and flow. Like we also all have that masculine energy in us. It's a yin and yang situation. So it's like you can't have too much flow without, you can't have too much hustle without enough flow. So it's all about that inner harmony and cultivating that inner balance within. And that's that foundation that will really be able to help you soar as you move on to like these aspirations and these big goals. And so, yeah, so I think like, you know, I don't know if I want to read chapter 2 or not. Let me see. Chapter 2 has, okay, chapter 2 is from page 28 to page 34. It's this much. I was gonna hop off, but let me know. What should I do? Should I read chapter 2 or not? Because like I told myself I wanted to just be on here for an hour and a half. But how about this? Because I do have some things I need to get to early this evening. So the standout quotes that she has in chapter 2 are: 1, all of us are connected to this limitless power. And she says that this is the foundation for all the work we're about to do together on your life. One, the universe is made up of source energy. Two, all energy vibrates at a certain frequency, which means you're vibrating at a certain frequency, and everything you desire and don't desire is also vibrating at a certain frequency. And three, vibration attracts like vibration. So you need to raise your frequency to match the vibe you want to tune into. What did I say? This is all about, this whole platform is all about raising our vibration. So it's like the spirit told me that this is the perfect book to read for this season right now, especially with like where I see this community growing. It's like consciousness. What are those? This was during feminism, I think like the second wave. They used to have like consciousness raising meetings, and I feel like that's what we're doing here. Okay, so she also says another standout. I really don't want to read the whole thing to y'all, but I want to leave y'all with some of the wisdom from it, and then we'll reconvene later, because this is a pretty, it's like a somewhat thick book, and I want us to get like as much of the value out here to this community during this month. So yeah, so another quote she says is, the universe will match whatever vibration you put out, and you cannot fool the universe. Facts. That is facts, bro. So she also said, just master the energetic realm, believe in the not yet seen, and stay in your highest frequency. You harness your innate power to create the reality you desire. In order to truly raise your vibration, you've got to believe that everything you want is available to you. And the best way to keep this belief strong is by staying connected to source energy. The force is with you. So yeah, I mean, your faith just needs to be greater than your fear. Ultimately, how do I stay connected to? Geez, nature. I think if you want to stay connected to source, which I believe is really tied to that divine feminine energy that is potent across Mother Earth, and a lot of indigenous beliefs in Africa, Latin America, everywhere, Asia, we all know this, but I think in Western paradigms and Western societies, that importance of the divine feminine energy and staying connected to that is lost, and it's viewed as weak. It's viewed as that is tied to appearance, when it's really an energy. And I think it's, once you can harness that divine feminine energy, as in like surrender to flow, and like also just staying connected to universal consciousness, in the sense of not feeling separate from the world, not feeling separate from the trees and the birds and the wind and the air and the clouds and the sun and the sky and your neighbor and that person. Like, I just feel like once you really deep that we're all connected, and you can honor the God that lives in every living thing. I feel like I sound like Pocahontas right now. Will I break out into song, Colors of the Wind? But yeah, like staying connected to source energy is just a huge thing, and like it requires presence and intention. But like when you do that, you're really able to stay in a high frequency, and your frequency, your vibration, even if sometimes you have to shed a little thug tear, because I do. I really will cry, like if I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is overwhelming. But my vibration, I will always say, okay, let's re-steer the ship. Let's think of something amazing. Let's think of something amazing. Let's think of something amazing is what I'm always telling myself. Like something great is about to happen to me. Things always work out for me. So I'm going to close out with that and leave y'all with some positive affirmations to help in your subconscious mind vibration, frequency leveling up journey. And some things that I like to tell myself, and they have become literally like my belief foundation, are everything is always working out for me. I want you to really believe that, like everything is always working out for me, because in the quantum field, all of those versions of you that you can't stop dreaming of, like that version of you that has the money you want, that has the job you want, that has what you want, it already exists, but you timeline. So I shifted into my timeline of having modeling gigs and having partnerships with major brands that I want to work with. Not just, oh, like, this is popular on TikTok. No, I'm talking about brands and organizations that I genuinely admire them. Is because I told myself everything is always working out for me. Everything is always working out for me. Everything is working out for me. Another belief that I've been telling myself, money is flowing to me. I got money. This is a song. But basically, yeah, like I always tell myself, money is flowing to me easily and effortlessly. Money is flowing to me. Money is like water. It's like water. We are like water. Oh gosh, it's so much. It's so much that I can't even just put it into this. But it's okay. That's why we have the Alaere Manifesto book. That's why I promise all of this stuff, we're going to be talking about it, like the energetics, the spirituality of it all, of mastering your inner badass. We are going to be talking about it. But yeah, the beliefs, everything is working out for me. Money is flowing to me easily and effortlessly. Money is flowing to me. What's another positive affirmation I always tell myself? I am God consciousness. Literally, I'm God consciousness, so I am a divine creator, which means tell a mountain to move and it can move. And so mountains in your life, you can tell them to move and they will move. So I hope that you guys really enjoyed today's live. Thanks, Moises, for tuning in the chat. Like, I always appreciate your kind comments. But a couple of calls to action before I go. Be sure to subscribe. Be sure to subscribe. I am on my pathway to 1,000, which is a big deal for me because a limiting belief I literally had to let go of was, oh my gosh, YouTube, what would I even talk about? Like, why would I, da 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 da. But now I'm like, no, it's about building a community of people who can honor their inner light and love and move out into the world with that frequency and make the world a better place. Like I grew up in a missionary church, so maybe that's where this energy comes from. But like, I definitely feel like if we can all harness the love in ourselves, we can emanate that outwards. And when we go out, we are just doing like a domino effect of being blessings, 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 blessings. And like your presence can be a gift to somebody. Like literally, I was talking to somebody the other day, a random person that I just met, and she was like, "You're so easy to talk to." Like, and I've been told that like talking to me is healing, and I love that. Like, I really love that because I had to do some of that inner work to make sure that like my presence is something that they're people. So I do hope that you feel blessed by today's live. I pray that you guys are having a fabulous, fabulous start to your November, because being fabulous is a state of mind. It really is. And I encourage y'all to check out my book, Force of Nature. Not my tabs over here, but yeah, like Force of Nature. This is available on Amazon, Waterstones if you're in Europe, Booktopia if you're in Australia, a whole host of independent book. Your girl is global, baby. Okay, so definitely check out Force of Nature by Odemi Pasio. I've linked the Amazon link, or I've pinned the Amazon link in the chat. And what else? Yeah, if you want to check out my artwork, like some of what is behind me, let me even pick up a print. So like this is like an example of my artwork as well. It is all available at AlaereLifestyle.com. Okay, yeah, I feel like that's about it. Yeah. But yeah, be sure to subscribe. I will be back here tomorrow at 3 p.m. We're gonna keep on doing these like sit down chatty videos because like I said earlier in the live, I have a lot of projects I need to finish painting, and I paint super slow on live because I'm trying to like engage with the chat and stuff like that. But I want to be able to paint everything so I can show y'all. So doing most of that off camera for the time being, and we're gonna be really like reading and talking about this book. So we'll see. Maybe we'll read it again tomorrow, or maybe we'll like talk about something else. I think we might just reconvene and talk about this book a little bit more tomorrow. Or maybe I might talk about an essay I wrote where it's called "A Lust for Life Keeps Us Alive." So definitely thinking about that, especially as the year winds down, dwindles down, and I know a lot of people are going through tough times. Sending my prayers out to like Jamaica. I think also Haiti got hit with the hurricane as well. So just sending my love and like my prayers out to those communities and just to everybody who may be navigating a tough time right now, whether that's like mentally or financially, like trust, God got you. So I'm sending you love and light, and I hope that, when you join onto my channel, it vibration and lifts your spirits a bit. Okay, that's enough. I think I've said everything I need to say, but I love you guys.